Hey there, today I'm going to be showing you 3 ways to hit the purple raid boss. This is a 5-star level 5 raid boss. I have tested my teams all the way up to 6-star level 1 or 6-star level 2, I think. They do work well. I think that at higher raid bosses, maybe some tweaks would be needed. I'm not sure at the moment. But keep in mind I do have some pretty good gear. So maybe depending on your own gear journey, maybe my gear is suited for a certain type of play. For example, certain heroes might be fast, certain heroes might be tanky, and you might need to consider that when you think about your own hits. I'm not trying to say that there are only 3 ways to hit them, obviously not, but I would like to show you kind of the thought process and maybe give some ideas of the different ways you can approach the same enemy, because there is indeed, I think, more than one way, and there may be even more than 3 ways. I've just kind of chosen 3 to present to you today. So what you see right now is my yellow team. You can see that there are 3 yellows, hence the name. In terms of the heroes themselves, so the first thing to think about when bringing a yellow team is you'll probably be bringing yellow to maximize damage against purple based on the color affinity. But of course, the purple will also do high damage against yellow, and therefore it's very important to have a tank to protect your yellow snipers. So in this case, you have to have a hero with taunt if you're going to bring yellow snipers, and that hero in my team is Najjar. The reflect is also nice, but the main function that I want is taunt, so any other taunt hero could also work there. Even Martin, because the really important thing is taunt. If you have a hero that consistently lands provoke, that could also be a good idea. Just bear in mind that you do need some accuracy to land against the raid boss. Right, so if you think about the yellow snipers in the game, I think there have been a lot of exciting new snipers recently, especially Frank, who hits based on HP. I would still think that most of the yellow snipers who hit hard hit based on attack. And here I have Gojmir and Arlen. Gojmir is actually a better hitter because Arlen does hit for a percentage of the enemy's max HP, but that is reduced by 600 times for the raid bosses. So Gojmir will actually hit harder, and he consistently hits harder. I used to be kind of surprised about that, but then if you kind of calculate the damage and go through all of that, it is clear that Gojmir is a much harder hitter for the raid bosses. Right, and I am using Aurora to support the attack-based snipers. Obviously, if I would use an HP-based sniper or 2 HP-based snipers, I wouldn't need to be buffing attack up. And if I would be using a defense-based sniper, I would be buffing defense, not attack. So Aurora is really there to support the yellow snipers who are based on attack, and anyone who gives increased attack will also fulfill this role. Based on your team and the stats of the raid boss, you might find that certain heroes work better than others. Can be situational, so I used to find that Boden was actually a better choice than Aurora for some speeds, because that was just the right coincidence where his increased speed would break up the raid boss turns in the middle of the battle, and then kind of For other raid boss levels, that wasn't a big thing anymore because the raid boss got really fast, and instead I was more concerned about mitigating some of the damage. So Aurora's protective shield is really good there. Hempe could also be very good because she does both attack up and defense up. So it's really thinking about what abilities you need to support your heroes, which heroes have those capabilities, and kind of playing around until you find the one that is right for you in a situation, and keeping in mind that that can change as you go up or down in levels. Right, so I also have Lilith as a status remover. This strategy is based on removing statuses off the raid boss and then hitting hard with the yellow snipers. So Lilith is there. I want to show you her stats and I want to show you her accuracy. I always find that if you're going to debuff or remove statuses off the raid bosses, you want your accuracy as high as possible, and if you can, kind of very close to 200. That's my rule of thumb. Obviously I haven't got 200 myself, but as high as possible is always good. So that's what I wanted to show on Lilith there. And yeah, I mean, some of the things are less obvious. I think I've talked quite a lot about this team, to be honest, but I also want to point out that I'm using Arlen as the leader because he's going to increase attack of yellow allies, and that's very good for both himself and Gojmir. And that's actually why I've decided to bring Gojmir and Arlen and not two Gojmirs, because that I like that leader ability a lot. And let's see. You'll also notice that my heroes are all at 6 stars. I do think that if you bring yellow snipers to the purple raid boss, 6 stars is necessary, especially for the attack-based heroes. I'm not sure about Frank because I haven't run him. If you want to be doing the maximum damage, of course, you want to be using fully ascended heroes. But I know that for some people who are still growing their rosters and looking at teams that they could bring, I really think that if you're going to bring yellow, you do need to have them at 6 stars. So that is about my heroes and the team. And next I'm going to show you the battle. So I forgot to actually talk about the choice of dragon, so I'll tell you about it now. I brought the yellow dragon. It doesn't really matter which one you bring or which one I bring for this one here. I'm bringing yellow because I want to decrease the amount of damage that he does on yellows. So that's using the colorblind status to reduce that. Could also use, for example, the green dragon for heal, or maybe even the blue dragon for decreased speed. I'm finding that at the moment for my team, that doesn't really impact the turns of the raid boss, doesn't really help to split them up. So I don't really need the blue dragon. I could also bring the purple one, of course, to put some mana choke on him so that he gains mana a little bit more slowly, or even the red one to decrease his resistance and give Lilith a bit of a boost. I do want to comment very briefly on the gameplay here. This is not a tile movement video. This is more of a team strategy, team composition kind of video, but I would say that this is perfectly viable without using the curse potion. Obviously you could also use that if you don't have many of the mana potions. You do actually see me going very low in health for large parts of this battle, and that's okay because I'm actually using the spell shield to prevent them from dying. I'm not too worried about the heroes being at extremely high HP. I'm okay as long as they don't die. And you do actually see me mess up at some point in this battle, um, because I do manage to kill Lilith by not having taunt up before the raid boss goes. That's definitely important, especially with the increased attack status that the raid boss gains. Always want to have taunt going off right before the raid boss. Also really nice to have protective shield going off right before the raid boss. Usually I don't really play the battle after we get to rage, so you'll see that I'm really okay with my heroes dying towards the final turns of the battle before the rage. And once rage starts, I actually normally quit, but you'll see that this time I um, I let it go on auto, and I get a little bit more of the reflect damage from Najjar that way. Alright, so we're back with the second team, and you'll see that this one actually has no yellows at all. And wanted to show you basically that if you don't have yellow snipers, or you don't want to use yellow snipers for whatever reason, other colors are actually viable. And I'm using Cyril here because he has a guaranteed chance to take statuses off, but you could also use other heroes like Tiara, for example, um, to remove statuses. That's perfectly fine. I'm just using this because coincidentally I do have Cyril, and he is at 6 stars, so I'm happy to use him in this case, and you'll get to see him perform. This is actually very similar to the team before, in terms of having a taunt, an attack up, and then heroes that remove. But instead of having a specialist debuffer and 2 specialist snipers, I've got 3 snipers who can all remove a status. And Savior can actually land curse, which is really nice if he can get that to stack. That would be very powerful against this raid boss. There are ways to tweak this, of course, if you feel like Cyril, for example, is not taking the statuses off, or if you don't have Cyril and you're running maybe someone like Rogar, you could also bring Mrs. Claus instead of Cyril, and since she removes a lot of statuses, that can be a good way to handle it. Since we don't actually have any yellows, different way to approach this is, instead of using Alexander, you could actually bring a yellow hero, your tankiest yellow hero, doesn't have to have a taunt on them, will be automatically targeted because of color affinity. So, for example, if Gwyn is your tankiest yellow, she could perform well here in this situation. And since she also removes one status from the enemy, that could be another tweak on this team. I am actually bringing Alexander because I feel like he's very sturdy and he is green like Savior, so they will gain mana together, and that helps me get Savior going more often. I'm bringing the green dragon here because I feel like Cyril is pretty squishy and healing is always nice. And yeah, enough talking. Let's see this team in action. So for the third hit, I want to show you something completely different. This is going to be an auto battle team, and I want to talk more about auto battles in a future video, but this is basically just a teaser to show you that auto battle is definitely viable. With maybe 2 or 3 keys, you can get Journal's Chest. If you're very lucky, you can get, well, not lucky, it's the wrong word. If you have a very well designed team, it is, I think, possible to get General's Chest in 1 key using auto battle. And if you come from the point of view that you want everyone to get General's Chest, and it's not about having the highest score, but it's about taking down the raid boss, I think that auto battle and finding a way to make auto battle viable for everyone is a really great way to be successful and at the same time save both your own time and your own resources. Because nobody's that rich to keep re-rolling the market and getting the potions that you want, right? So about the team itself. Najjar is back, but this time his main feature is not Taunt, it is actually Reflect. The concept of this team is not to remove any statuses, but to keep the statuses on the dragon and actually use Reflect to reflect that damage back. That's really nice because this dragon or this raid boss puts increased attack on himself, and that is the part that is going to really make the reflect damage very, very helpful. I do have Rogar here as a sniper to just increase that attack just a little bit more. But the main strategy here is going to be reflect plus tiles plus a little bit of special. So Najjar is here for reflect, Tessix is also here for reflect, and they're both red, so they're gonna gain mana together. That's very nice. Nefra is here to do a little bit of healing. If Taunt is not up at the same, or if Taunt is not active in the raid boss's turn, Nefra will be targeted because she's yellow, and because she is a little bit tanky, she can take the hit. She can also heal Najjar if he's had a hard time with surviving the tiles. Esmeralda is there to give a little bit more mana and also to kind of increase the tile damage with the increased crit damage. She also is going to support Rogar's hit in that way, and giving everyone 4 matches is a really nice way to help all of the heroes charge up a little bit faster. Tessix, I already talked about the reflect, but his little bit of healing is also very much appreciated here. I do have the green dragon as well to support the healing, and like I said before, Rogar is the hitter. So let's see how this goes. By the way, I forgot to mention 2 things. The first thing is that Esmeralda being purple helps to match purple tiles away from the raid boss, so he doesn't get too crazy with his specials. And the second thing I wanted to say is Rogar is here as a sniper. He is not a yellow sniper, as I'm sure you've noticed, but please do not bring a yellow sniper if you're going to bring this kind of team, because there's only one Taunt hero if you're going to copy this team, and the moment that Taunt is not active, if I had brought Gojmir instead of Rogar, Gojmir would have been targeted. He's not very tanky and he would have died. So a backup tank like Nefra, like a fake tank being yellow, is fine. A second Taunt hero could also be fine, but I would really not recommend a yellow sniper for this role. So there you go. That's 3 ways to hit the purple raid boss. And the way that I've done it, I managed to get General's Chest on the first key using either the first or the second method. I still need 2 keys to get General's Chest if I use the auto battle at the moment. So hope that was fun, and if you like this kind of video, I also have 3 ways to hit other raid bosses and 3 ways to do the dust rifts. So check them out if you like this format. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.